Hey guys, my name is Umo. Welcome to University of Pattern Drafting and welcome to this update and upgrade class organized by University of Pattern Drafting. So this is our second class. Yesterday during our first class we did an in-depth analysis of this style and we talked about the dimensions of the neckline, the sleeve length, the yoke length. We talked about this asymmetrical waistline, and we also talked about the skirt part of this dress. We talked about a couple of other things, and if you haven't gone through the chart, I suggest that you go through the chart before you watch this video. Anyways, this is our second class and this is the pattern drafting video. So the measurements that we're going to be needing for this dress is your bust circumference, your under bust circumference, your waist circumference, your hip circumference, your shoulder to your bust point measurement, your shoulder to under bust, your shoulder to your waist, your bust span, your shoulder to your knee length, your shoulder to your feet. You also need your shoulder width measurements, you need your sleeve length measurements, and you need your arm round measurements. If you don't know how to take these measurements, I would drop a link on the group. I have a video on YouTube on how to take body measurements. It's on private mode, so just for the sake of this class, I will put it on public mode so that you would watch it. But by tomorrow, I'll put it back on private mode because I don't like the quality of that video. Anyways, these are the materials that we need. I showed you the breast cup first, and please note that the breast cup that we're using is the one that has double padding. Okay, so on to the pattern drafting. We would start by imputing my bust circumference measurement divided by 2. So bust circumference is 36 inches. Divide that by 2, that's 18 inches. Do you understand? Divided by 2, guys, not by 4. This is the corset part that we're drafting, and you know that for corset I divide by 2, so divided by 2. Apologies for that. The camera was not properly placed, but shortly I would adjust the camera and then you will see what I'm trying to show you. Okay, so you draw out that line, that is your bust circumference divided by 2. Measure that all the way through your paper and divide that by 2. Can you see that? So that's 18 inches. Now I'm going ahead to impute the half of that. That is my bust arc. So your bust arc is your bust circumference divided by 4. So 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. So I'm drawing this out with pencil just because I want to be able to know where my side seam should actually be. Do you understand? So this is why I am marking that bust arc measurement. Okay, and I marked it with pencil. It's supposed to just be a very not very legible line. Do you understand? Okay, so I'm going ahead to impute my vertical measurement. That's my shoulder to bust point, which is 9.5 inches. My shoulder to my under bust, which is 13.5 inches. And then my shoulder to navel is 18 inches. As I mentioned earlier, your natural waistline is 2 inches above your navel. So 18 minus 2 is 16 inches. So you would see me marking 16 inches, guys. So that is where my natural waistline would be, and that is where the cut for that dress should originally be. Even though it's asymmetrical, let's start by marking our shoulder to natural waistline. Okay, so that is my under bust line, and then this is my bust point line. So take note of this, guys. You really need to pay attention to this video. So having done this, the next step now would be to mark my bust span measurement. So bust span divided by 2. So my bust span is 7.5 inches divided by 2. I think that's about 3.75 inches. If you have issues with all of these measurements I'm talking about, I'm also going to drop the link to a video that I have on my channel on how to accurately read a tape rule. So you should probably stop and watch that video first so that you would understand all of this 3/4, 1/4, 3/8 and all those things I'm going to be talking about. So after marking my bust span divided by 2, measure what you have left and divide that by 4. So after marking that, you can see me trying to divide that into 4. So I'm folding my tape roll into 4 parts. Can you see? So at the end of the day, I have about 3/6/8 inches, I guess. Is that 3/6/8 or 3/5/8? I guess maybe 3/5/8 inches. Can't remember what it really is, but that's about 3/5/8 inches. So this is what you can see me marking all the way. Can you see that, guys? 3/5/8 inches. So I'm going to do the same for the lower parts. I adjusted the camera so you can see clearly. I realized the last line wasn't showing very clearly, so that's my bust span divided by 2, and then measured what was left, jigget, and divided that into 4. So guys, you can divide this into 6. Like your corset can have like as many panels as you want. Do you understand? But for this, the sake of this, we're working with just 5 panels. So I'm dividing the remaining into 4. Jigget. So I'm going ahead to transcribe that same measurement on my natural waistline, guys. So the same 3/5/8 inches is what you can see me marking here. So the same 3/5/8 inches, and so I would rule out all the lines for my panels. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have issues with all of these numbers that I'm mentioning, all these fractions that I'm dealing with, you should go back and watch that video on how to properly read a tape measure so that you would understand what I'm doing very clearly. Okay, so that is that side seam line that I drew out with pencil. Do you understand? Just for, since the yoke is going to be part of this corset, since this corset has a yoke, you need to be able to know where the side seam should actually lie. So next thing, we're going to be working on the bust point area. So my bust span is about 3/4 or 3.5 inches. So I think 3/4 inches. So I am going to mark my bust span on with my protractor, like open my protractor to the width of my bust span. My bust span divided by 2, sorry. So this is what you can see me. That's the bust point. So from the bust point, I am drawing a circle all the way around with my protractor, guys. Can you see that? So it doesn't matter if when you draw it sits slightly above your under bust line. Do you understand? It really doesn't matter. So if it happens that way for you, then just leave it that way. Shoulder to under bust of 13 for me is still fair enough, so I really don't mind. Do you understand? So I'm going to go ahead and use my bra cup to also trace out the line just for accuracy, and you can see me marking the center point of my bra cup, and I'm aligning that with my bust span over 2 line, guys. Can you see that? And then I'm drawing out the semicircle. Can you see that? Just so that, because it's actually the bra cup that is going to sit in that space. Do you get? So you really need to, you can also draw the top of your bra cup, but don't press your bra cup to be flat. Just leave it cupped, like when you're trying to draw out the line. So you can see my the shape of my bra cup. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend that bust span over 2 line. So I've extended it upwards, and I am going to go ahead and impute my darts for my cup area. So my dart is about 1.5 inches. Can you see that? Along the rim of that circle. So same thing on the other side, along the rim of that circle. And I am going to go ahead and use my French curve to connect those points. Now when connecting those points, ensure that it's not a sharp point, ensure that it's slightly rounded, guys. Do you understand? These videos were too long, so I had to break them into bits. So this is going to be part 1. Part 2 would come up after this one, so watch out for that, guys. So I'm just tracing this out, and then I'm going to go ahead and now impute my darts for my underbust. To do that, my underbust measurement is 28 inches. So 28 divided by 2 is 14 inches. Do you get? And what I have, can you see that's 14 inches? So it means I have 4 inches extra. So I'll divide that into 2 and share that on both sides of the first line. Do you understand? 4 divided by 2 is 2 inches. So I would mark 1 inch on both sides of that first line, and then I will share the remaining 2 inches amongst those 3 lines, guys. So watch out for part 2 of this video.